Don't waste it. Written by Bruno Susano. Chapter 1. A night like any other. Another night of laughter beneath a star-filled sky. Surrounded by beer bottles and bright smiles, we looked at one another, wishing this moment could last forever. Another ridiculous story was told, triggering a chorus of wild laughter. But none of it really mattered. We were literally on top of the world, and nothing could stop us. As always, Jake turned to me and asked if I wanted to go out for a smoke. I didn't smoke, but I always kept him company. We opened the door, and were met by an unexpectedly cold breeze. Jake didn't mind. He claimed to be practically allergic to heat. We stood on the porch, staring up at the stars, talking about the party and the good energy inside that house. Then we saw it, a shooting star streaking across the sky. Like any pair of guys, we pretended not to be too moved by the sight. No big reactions, just a glance, a breath, and then we headed back inside. That's when Rachel shouted, her voice sharp and excited, telling us to turn off the music so we could start a trivia game. The game flickered onto the giant television in front of us, and the questions began. I got the first one right, and felt a wave of triumph, like I just won the Olympics of knowledge. The next question was for Jake. He nailed his too. We were riding high. The questions kept coming. So did the laughter, the shouting, the playful jabs. I leaned forward, buzzing with the energy of the moment, eyes locked on the screen, when suddenly, boom, a violent jolt shook the house. It sounded like something huge had shattered. We froze. "What the hell was that?" someone shouted. We ran to the window. And that's when we saw it. A helicopter. On fire. Screaming through the sky. Coming right at us. I couldn't move. "It's coming toward the house," someone screamed. There was no time, no way to run, no understanding of what was happening. The last thing I remember was the light, bright, blinding, consuming everything. And then, nothing. We were dead, all of us. Chapter 2. Reborn. I opened my eyes. Everything was blurry. I felt small. The light stung. My arms flailed uncontrollably. I was lying on something rough. Pavement? I couldn't move properly. I could barely lift my head. My body wasn't mine. I tried to speak, but all that came out was a high-pitched cry. I panicked. My limbs kicked, tiny and weak. I could barely see anything beyond flashes of light and looming shapes. That's when I realized. I was a baby. Literally a baby. Out in the middle of the street. Cars passed by, honking. People walked around me, talking on their phones, carrying groceries, pushing strollers. No one seemed to notice me lying there. No one stopped. Tears rolled down my cheeks. Was I hallucinating? Dreaming? Had I gone mad? Then, a woman. She appeared out of nowhere, scooped me into her arms, and wrapped me in a warm blanket. I didn't recognize her face, but she smiled, as if she'd known me forever. She carried me home. Her home. It was clean, small, quiet. She placed me in a crib. I tried to speak, to scream, to ask where I was, but all I could do was wail. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be happening. I grabbed the bars of the crib and tried to pull myself up. My tiny hands trembled. I had all my memories. I remembered the party, the laughter, the helicopter, the explosion. But none of it matched what I saw now. I was trapped in the body of an infant, unable to control anything. And no one knew who I really was. Time passed in fragments. Days, maybe weeks. The woman, my new mother, talked to me softly, fed me, bathed me. I learned her name was Mary. I started to crawl. Then, walk. She took photos, posted videos. My little miracle, she called me. But I wasn't her miracle. I was a man, or at least I had been, stuck in this second life, trying to make sense of what came before, trying not to go insane. Was this a punishment? A glitch in the universe, some cosmic joke? And then, one morning, I woke up, and everything changed again. Chapter 3. Familiar Stranger. I woke up again. This time, I was older, maybe 6 or 7. My limbs were longer, more coordinated. But my mind still felt like mine. It was a sunny morning. The bedroom I was in looked like something out of a catalog. Light blue walls, a soccer poster, a stuffed animal neatly sitting on a shelf. I could hear someone cooking downstairs. Bacon crackling, a plate clinking on tile. I got up and walked to the mirror. My face stared back at me, but it wasn't the face I remembered. It was young, yes, but not mine. My features were softer, unfamiliar. Still the eyes. The eyes held something I recognized. Downstairs I found Mary, still the same woman who'd found me as a baby. She smiled when she saw me, as if nothing had changed. "Good morning, sweetheart," she said, flipping a pancake. I nodded, sat, ate. No questions. Not about why I'd aged. Not about why the house felt slightly different. Not about why, when I looked out the window, the world seemed off. It wasn't that anything was wrong. It was just that everything was slightly too right. Like someone had painted the world and missed a few brushstrokes. That afternoon, she took me to school. I sat in a classroom filled with kids who already seemed to know me. I recognized none of them. We colored pictures, played Foursquare. A kid named Sam offered me a half-crushed juice box and said, "You're weird, but I like you." I smiled, unsure if it was a compliment. The teacher asked me to read aloud. I stood, opened the book, and for a split second, I swore I saw the spiral again. Not on the page, but hovering behind the letters. Twisting. I blinked, and it was gone. Weeks passed, or maybe hours. Time felt strange here. Then one day, I saw her. A girl with auburn hair and freckles, sitting alone on the swings. Her name was Rachel. She looked at me like she already knew who I was. We didn't talk, not then. But something about her anchored me. Like she was real in a way the rest of this world wasn't. That night, I had a dream. Or maybe it was a memory. I was at the party again, the same laughter, the same couch, the same beer bottles scattered across the floor. But everything was in slow motion. And then came the spiral. Spinning slowly in the sky, like a dying galaxy. When I woke up, I wasn't in my room anymore. Chapter 4. The College Loop. I woke up in a dorm room, not a hospital, not a crib, not a dream. Posters of rock bands clung to the walls with peeling tape. A pair of sneakers lay abandoned near the foot of the bed. The unmistakable stench of pizza, sweat, and burned popcorn clung to the air like static. I was in college, or rather, I was me in college. 19, maybe 20, same height I remembered, same voice, same everything. I looked in the mirror and recognized my face, finally. I tried to piece it together, the spiral, Rachel, the hospital. What happened between that and now? Nothing made sense. I went to class, or maybe I wandered into one. It was hard to tell if I was even enrolled. Professors spoke in muffled tones. Students looked like cardboard cutouts. I tried to talk to someone, anyone, but they all gave me vague responses, like they were just passing through, like they didn't see me. I walked across campus. Leaves drifted from the trees like time itself was slowing down. I passed groups of students laughing, flirting, running, scrolling, but nothing landed. It was like watching a movie of someone else's life. Rachel was gone. No one knew her name. And the spiral? It hadn't returned. But I felt it, always behind me, just out of view. One night, I went to a party. A different one. Different house. Same patterns. Plastic cups, beer pong. Someone crying in the bathroom. I stood in the kitchen, staring into the fridge for no reason, when a guy I didn't know handed me a drink and said, "This is the best it's ever gonna be, man. Don't waste it." My blood went cold. He disappeared into the crowd. That phrase, again. Always that phrase. I left the party and walked back to the dorm, my thoughts spinning like the spiral itself. I climbed into bed, closed my eyes, and whispered, "Let me wake up somewhere real." And then I did. Sort of. Chapter 5. Drifting. I didn't wake up somewhere real. I woke up in an apartment I didn't remember renting. A modern, quiet place, 2 plants by the window, a humming refrigerator. Everything seemed settled. I checked the mirror. Still me. Still this same version of me that had aged into this life like it had always been mine. I had a job now, marketing or consulting, or something that involved muted Zoom calls and words like synergy. I had a desk, a mug with my name on it, and a keyboard that sounded like a rainstorm when I typed too fast. But it all felt hollow. Every day I sat in meetings and heard nothing. I stared at graphs, answered emails, smiled in video calls. I did everything a functioning adult was supposed to do, and yet, I felt like a cardboard cutout of myself, propped up and going through the motions. People knew me, colleagues, neighbors. There was even someone who I think I was dating, or had dated, or maybe just talked to a lot. But none of them really knew me. I thought about Rachel sometimes, and Jake, that version of him who shared cigarettes and stars. Had any of that been real? Sometimes I'd wake up at 3 a.m. with a sudden jolt, convinced I could still hear the spiral humming in the distance. A faint, electric whirl just under reality's surface. I tried to ignore it. I worked more, exercised, ate better, took short trips on the weekends, posted sunsets on social media like they meant something. But the truth is, I was fading. One day, I passed by a glass window downtown, the kind that stretches floor to ceiling in an office lobby. I caught my reflection mid-step, and for a second, I didn't recognize myself. I stopped. And there, behind my reflection, the spiral. Subtle, transparent, spinning silently like it never left. No one else noticed it. I pressed my palm to the glass. It didn't move. It didn't react. And then I heard it again. That same low, steady whisper in my head. Don't waste it. But I already hadn't I? Chapter 6. Success. I had everything. The kind of life people write LinkedIn posts about. An apartment in the city. A view of the skyline. The kind of furniture you assemble once and then brag about forever. Smart lights, smart fridge, a job that paid too well for me to complain. I had meetings, deadlines, a fake succulent on my desk. I had a life. But I didn't feel alive. Every morning, I brushed my teeth, showered, drank black coffee, and commuted to a job where I answered questions with more questions. I was respected, polished, efficient, and hollow. I started forgetting faces, names, entire meetings. I'd blink and find myself home again, standing in front of the fridge with no idea what I came there for. Sometimes I looked at myself in the mirror and said, "Who are you?" No answer, just that face staring back, well-rested, well-groomed, entirely unfamiliar. And Rachel? Gone. I'd searched for her, looked through old contacts, social media, even asked mutual friends. No trace. Like she'd been erased, or like she was never really there. One night, I stood at the rooftop of my building, staring out at the city's glow. So many lights. So many people living their stories. Why did mine feel like a script someone else wrote? And then, through the glass door behind me, I caught a glimpse of it. The spiral. Subtle. Reflected in the window. Like it had followed me here, waiting patiently. I turned around. Nothing. But I knew. It was still watching. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just whispered, "Please, if this is a dream, let me wake up. If it's real, give it meaning." But the spiral didn't answer. It never did. Chapter 7. Collapse. I stopped sleeping. Or maybe I stopped dreaming. The days bled together like spilled ink. Time had lost its rhythm. Or maybe I had simply stopped following it. Everything felt stalled, as if I were moving in slow motion while the world sped past me. One morning, I sat at my desk, staring at a blank document. The cursor blinked like a tiny heartbeat. I typed one sentence, then deleted it, over and over, for hours. My coworkers thought I was thriving. I kept showing up. I answered emails. I even smiled in meetings. But inside, I was unraveling. I started walking at night. Long walks. No destination. No music. Just me and the sound of my footsteps echoing against the empty sidewalks. Sometimes, I thought I saw the spiral reflected in glass, on the surface of puddles, in the static on television screens, behind my eyelids. One night, I found myself standing at the train station, staring at the tracks. The air was cold. My breath came out in shaky clouds. A train approached, and I stepped closer. Closer. Then a hand grabbed mine. Rachel, out of nowhere, like a ghost, like a prayer. She didn't speak, just looked at me with those same eyes from the playground, the hospital, the party, and I broke. I fell to my knees, sobbing. Not because I was sad, because I remembered. Everything. The party, the explosion, the rebirth, the school, the spiral, all of it. Rachel held me, and for the first time in what felt like lifetimes, I felt human again. We sat together on the platform, not saying a word, just breathing, just being. When I looked up, the spiral was gone. For now. Chapter 8. Don't waste it. I wasn't giving up. There had to be a way out, a reason, something I'd missed. If this reality worked in loops, I had to find the beginning, the glitch in the pattern, and that meant going back. I drove until the road vanished beneath me, until the air grew cold enough to bite. Then I walked. Up a mountain trail that felt more like memory than place. My breath fogged in front of me, my legs burned, but I didn't stop. And then, there it was. The house, or maybe a version of it. It stood there, pristine, untouched by time or tragedy. I didn't know if it was the house, but it felt right. Inside, everything was still, silent, waiting. I searched every room, desperate, hopeful, furious. And then I screamed, "Spiral! Show yourself!" And it did. It spun into form in the center of the living room, massive, silent, no sound, no flicker, just movement. "End this! Or let me out, or kill me, just do something!" It didn't react. It just spun. And I collapsed, fell to my knees, body trembling, heart hollowed out. And in that stillness, in that absolute silence, a voice emerged. Not mechanical, not distorted, clear, deep, familiar. You were never trapped. You were never asleep. You were avoiding. I didn't move. Images flashed through my mind. The party, the schoolyard, the college dorm, the lifeless office, Rachel's eyes, the rooftop, the spiral, spinning forever behind everything. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your heart. Don't waste your life. Then, light, music, laughter, the original party, beer bottles, shouting, dancing. Like nothing had ever happened. Like everything was starting over. Jake walked up beside me, holding a drink. "Hey man, wanna go smoke?" I looked at him, and this time I smiled. "No, but I'll come with you." We walked out together into the night. The porch was still, the sky scattered with stars. Then, a shooting star, burning fast across the dart. "Make a wish," Jake said. "I already did," I whispered. And for the first time in a long time, I meant it.